It's Wednesday, so let's chat. I'm Kanan Chandran, the publisher of stormasia.com, and this is part of our weekly web chat series where we talk to people from a variety of industries about a bunch of different sorts of topics. We've looked at the food industry, we've looked at leadership, we've looked at many things in and around COVID, of course. And today we want to look at heritage brands. We're looking at the brands that have been part of Singapore's culture and history for such a long time and are still there and are still going strong. Look, in the era of all the things digital, you've got fintech, you've got Bitcoin, you've got biotech, you've got emphasis on logistics, apps, data, and all that kind of stuff. How do these heritage brands prevail? How do they remain relevant? How do they reach new audiences? And today we've got three very prominent brands in this room, and we are talking to, let me introduce them, right? So we've got Edy Tjugito, who's a non-executive director of Borden Eagle Singapore. Edy has been leading the brand since 1970. He grew the Eagle brand medicated oil business from 2 products to 20, and is now exported to 30 countries. Welcome, Edy. Right? We also have Fong Loo Fern, who's a managing director of CYC Company. CYC makes shirts. And Edy says that when he had a bit of money, he would go and buy a shirt from CYC. So brands that we can associate with. And Loo Fern has, she took over the family business in 1992 when it was going through some rough patches. She morphed the company into a trusted brand for tailoring and uniform designs. Welcome, Loo Fern.
Thank you.
And we have Richard Yu, a name that everybody knows here, right? And the brand that he represents, he's the chairman of the Yu Yan Sang International. Richard joined the business in 1989 and grew it into one of the largest traditional Chinese medicine groups in Asia. The group has grown from 6 to 250 retail stores and clinics. Welcome, Richard. Welcome, Edy. Welcome, Loo Fern. You are all part of famous brands of Singapore. Can you tell me very briefly and very quickly, what's the difference between running a business then, when you started, and running it now? Richard, would you like to have a go at it?
Well, when I started, it was a very small business. I had 5 stores in Malaysia and 1 store in Singapore. And as we grew, everything had to change. So the challenge is to how to manage the growth, because everything changed. Every process had to change, and it's not just the number of stores, not just the number of employees, but the whole back end, also had to keep up. Otherwise you get into a lot of problems with the supplies and inventory and all this sort of thing. So I think this was the challenge at a period of fast growth.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll get into the future challenges shortly. But Loo Fern, what was it like for you? What are the differences that you see?
I think what is most different is in terms of marketing, or maybe because we focus a lot on marketing. So in the past, you would just do hard copy mails to your customers and all that. But now you got to go online. You got to do a lot of social media stuff. You have to. The good thing is there are tools. There are a lot of online tools that can help you market and reach out to customers. The difficult thing is that you have to pivot yourself and learn a lot of these new things. So it's a brand new world, and you really have to keep learning and accommodating to the changes.
Sure. Edy,
Yes,
you've probably had the longest run of the three of you in the brand, right?
In the business for 50 years. I think to answer your question, is very clear. The world is changing. What was in the 70s and what is today is completely different, right? So the way in order to survive and to sustain the growth, you have to make changes. So the keyword is changes. You must grow with the world, right? I think as mentioned by Loo Fern, you know, the way you market your product, the way of communication, you know, one good, I was reading some article, they was discussing what is the difference between an old brand and a heritage brand, right? I mean, does heritage mean old, or does old mean heritage, right? So I think there's a fundamental difference in it. There's a, between the line, there's a difference. You see? And then, just take one example. For the Bata shoe. Bata we know is an old brand. When we are in primary, many of us, you know, that's the almost like the uniform to go to the school, Bata shoe. But today, you know, they are old brand. But are they heritage? I don't think so, because the millennial doesn't communicate with them, right? So what is heritage? Heritage, I think it has to do with the quality, the multi-generation use to it, yeah, and part of your daily life, you see, yeah. There is a unwritten intrinsic value in the product that built into your life. So it's not something that just a product itself, is it? So these are some of the things that I would think that make a differentiate between old brand and a heritage brand.
So I take it that you all think of your brands as heritage brands because they are in play, they're in use. Can you build a heritage brand, or does it happen?
I think you have to build it. You have to build it. You have to be consciously build it up. You know, that's another example that if you talk about building the brand, you know, this we take the example of this Patek Philippe watch. Patek Philippe watch versus the Tag Heuer. We know these two brands. The Patek Philippe is founded in 1839, while Tag Heuer is founded in 1860. Both are about the same era. Both are old, but the way Patek Philippe market their products, you know, they use the tagline that you do not own the Patek Philippe. You merely keep it for the next generation. So unconsciously they are building that this is a multi-generational product. While the Tag Heuer, you know, they just keep on producing a watch for use during a particular time, you see. So they keep on coming up model. So if you talk about Patek Philippe, the older the watch, you know, there's a value to it. While the Tag Heuer, probably the newer, has a more follower.
Sure.
Okay?
And of late, Rolex has jumped back into the game in the past few years with its own range of watches and collectibles as well.
Yes,
But
they go back to the old one.
I suppose in that example, it's becoming relevant to today's audience. And, you know, so the question then maybe for Richard is, how do you make traditional Chinese medicine relevant to today's audiences? How do you get millennials to embrace it?
Yeah, I think the communication of the values is very important, because it's sort of consistency. So you, as Mark Edy said, you know, you can be old, but old just means that you've been around a long time. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily relevant. But I think that if we can find, if the brand expresses its core values well, and this resonate and continue to resonate with your current audience, they will keep following you. You know, so the very famous old brands, famous brands, shall we say, will have this sort of characteristic. So I think customers will obviously age. You know, the customer that we had 40 years ago 140 years ago. Of course, they're not around anymore, you know. So how do we keep growing, and how do we keep growing the market? You know, we have to be relevant to the current customer base, you know, but at the same time, if you're heritage, then there has to be a transmission of certain values that that resonate, you know. So this has to be consistent.
So with a brand like yours, which is not just in Singapore, you're spread out in the region as well, internationally, how do you, find out what works in different markets? And do you need to do you develop an overarching sort of theme that applies across the board, or do you sort of localize your strategies?
I would say we do a bit of both, but we have to have understanding of how our consumers across different markets view us, and look at the commonalities, look at where what we can communicate to them as far as those commonalities are concerned. But the difference, of course, is that the tactical level, how do we sell to them and so on. That's a different issue, which is more localized. But the brand message should be very consistent across all markets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Loo Fern, you were saying that for you, there's been a big change into the whole digital space. That's today's environment that you operate in, right? So given COVID and a lot of people working from home, your area, you've morphed it into like uniforms and stuff, but fewer people are going into work, so they may not need uniforms. I see you've also started making masks. So how do you strategize your business to keep up with what's needed in the market?
Well, I think what both Richard and Edy talked about is the keywords that I take away is relevance and trust. You know, we have to be relevant to the market at that point in time. So even where clothes are concerned, we have to be relevant. We need to know what our customers want and need. So actually our B2B business has been very steady during this COVID times because we do a lot with hospitals and healthcare industry and all that. So people still need to change their uniforms and stuff. The retail side has definitely gone down quite a fair bit, and in many ways, the mask is a needed item at this point in time. So that brought in additional revenue for us and helped us, we pivoted to that, created a new product, and that has helped. So I guess moving forward is really about understanding what customers want. Nowadays, maybe change in lifestyles, change in behavior. They may not wear so much formal shirts, but we could go for more. We are going more for smart casuals, and we extend our product lines.
Okay. So digitalization is part and parcel of what you've got to do, right? So how do you work that into your business? Do you bring in people to study your business and find the best route forward via digitalization, or do you look at how do you work digitalization into your business? Edy, given that yours is an old brand, medicated oil, I mean, who is your audience, and how do you continue to build?
Yes, I think, well, everybody talk about this e-commerce, yeah. I think e-commerce is one of the channels that everyone should accept and should try to develop it, because, in our industry, we have like the traditional channel, which is the grocery store or the Chinese medicine store, the sundry goods. Then we have on the other end, we have the modern outlet, supermarket, and chain store, 7-Eleven, Watson, Guardian, or similar like that. So now we add up another division, another channel, which we call it the e-commerce, you see. So because particularly, this COVID even accelerated that kind of process much faster, because people don't travel that much. They have more time to look at the computers and all this. So this is really growing very fast. And today is 11/11. You know, it's supposed to be the biggest day.
Yes, the Singles Day today. Yes.
Yeah, actually, Edy, your product is easier to sell on e-commerce because you don't have size, you don't have color. Mine has size and color.
Nowadays, I think, we rate it in the internet that, you know, even a lady dress, you know, you can stand and they can portray you with this dress. Do you look nicer? You want to cut? I think they will come a day. They will come a day, you know. Yes, yours, unless they want a very specific one. In fact, I think, Loo Fern, if you really use the technology to your benefit, there's a lot of things that you can do. See? Let's say if I'm wearing this shirt, it is better in black or is it better in blue? You know, then through this technological, you can just poof, at the click.
Yeah. We have done that. Actually,
it looks better.
Actually, it's very easy to say you click your finger and it changes, but the back end part of it, the preparation, the rendering and all that.
Leave it to the millennial. Leave it to the millennial.
We always look at the
this is what I want. You do it, okay?
Yeah, I wish we could all create magic just like that.
Well, it seems like it, right? This day and age with artificial intelligence and everything else.
No. I mean, we are amazed what they can do. You know, sometimes they say, "Oh, you can do that. Oh, you can do that." Oh, we are amazed. We just have to follow. We just follow. Don't.
How? Sorry, I just want to find out how do you draw the younger generation to enter your business? Maybe not so much as consumers, but to work with you, to work for your organizations. Do you see that as a barrier? Does the younger generation want to have hip and happy, sexy sort of jobs to work with, or do they also not mind working for more conventional businesses like yours?
I think there are two groups of people. You know, some people like, as I say that what in the 70s and now at this 2020 is really something different. So, in the past, when you come to office, everything has to be formal and all this, or even the Western world, right? I mean, if you look at the old movie, everything wear tie, wear coat, everything tidy. Good morning, sir. Nowadays, no. Hey, Kanan, how are you? No more sir, no more. Maybe sometimes
more
it's
informal.
us to accept it. This is the world. So how do we react with them, the millennials? I think we just have to speak their language. When I say communication is not only oral, but also visual, is it? So your packaging, I think Yu Yan Sang done a very good job. You know, the packaging looks very modern, the young people will immediately look at it and attracted by it. Color was pastel color. If you probably take a product, including our product, some are very old look, but some are done with a purpose to portray the heritage. But sometimes you need to change because they don't like to see. But so the communication in terms of oral, the communication in terms of visual.
Yep.
And what Richard say is the communication about the quality. Because today young people, they are more discerned. They want to know more. We're still with this Google, what we say while we are talking to them, they Google and they read and they start. They tell me, "Hey, Edy, you are not right. That's not what the Google say."
Social media has changed everything, right?
Because you must really know what you want to say. Google first before you say.
No, the other thing is that other people are saying it. In the old days, it's one way. It's one way. You put a print ad, you put a TV ad, or whatever it is. It's one-way communication. Today with social media, everybody jumps in, and many people would have opinion about your product. So bearing that in mind, you've got to be very careful how you deal with this, right? So if there's a negative comment, how do we deal with it? You know, if there's a positive comment, how can we, you know, expand that, you know, and amplify it? So this is where you know, I guess you mentioned about digitalization, is technology and so on. The way in which things are being done is so different today, but we have to, you know, be able to cope with that as well. And you know, frankly, just doing print ads by itself, I mean, that's gone, you know.
Yeah. It's that's a whole style of doing things, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, the good thing about all this online marketing and all, it gives you a lot of data, it gives you a lot of feedback as well. So you get to understand your customers better.
Yes.
So that's what I like about in fact, the current form of advertising that we can use.
Yeah.
Okay. At this point, I'd just like to remind the audience, the participants who are out there, please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A box, and we'll try and address them as we go along. Miranda's put up a suggestion to say that change the packaging more to be more sophisticated, but yet not lose the characteristic of the products. I suppose that's something that Richard, you've probably taken on board with your packaging design, probably all of you, in terms of how you project your products as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, please have.
I think in terms of packaging is one thing. It's just the design, because back in the day, when we did not do a lot of sales outside of our own stores, the packaging was not so important. I mean, originally our stores were just medical halls, which you sold the herbs, right? So you can't, you know, they're not on display anywhere. They're in drawers. So that, but now it's very different. Now, like Park Edy's product, you've got to put on shelves. So your packaging is very important in order to tell people your product is there, you know. And so having modern packaging that's attractive and eye-catching is very important. And then also, but at the same time, you also have to modernize what's inside. So you don't want to have a modern packaging and then inside is still the same old thing. So for us anyway, you know, we've got to change modern dosage forms, you know. So from the old traditional pills, so small, like ball bearing type pills, we have to change into capsules. Now people would prefer to just pop capsules, right? And so on. But that involves a lot of changes in the whole manufacturing process, you know. So,
but Edy, for your products, have you changed the formulation much or at all?
Yes. I think you know, I mean, you know, our product and our brand is about 100 years, you know, more than 100 years. So along this year, well, I mean, not to say 100 years ago, even in the last 30 years, you know, the raw material are changing, as what Richard says, you know. With this modern equipment, you know, you can do a purer raw material. You can do more standardized, you know, like the way how do you extract the herb in the past and how do you extract the herb now is a lot of different. There's a lot of technology into it, so you can get much purer. Not only that, but sometimes you can extract what you do not want through a refractionation. You extract, right? You know, like one of our products, we have this mosquito repellent. We all know that the lemongrass oil is generally good for anti-mosquito.
Yeah.
But through the technology, through the research, we know that there's a certain component in the lemongrass oil that is really effective for mosquito. So we extract this ingredient, which we call rhodinol, and we apply it, and that would have a much lasting effect. So yeah, so we do a trial that can last as long as 8 hours to 10 hours. So it's almost your sleeping time. While if you put this lemongrass oil, probably 2 to 3 hours maximum effectiveness, because it's not pure. You do not extract what only you want. You know, Kanan, you are talking about a chili. So, you know, I mean, you can use chili, you get the heat thinners and all this. But if you extract the capsaicin, Capsaicin, they are measured by SHU, Scoville heat unit. The one SHU is equivalent to 1 million HSU. So you extract that capsaicin that have probably 70%. That's mean how much you can get, how much the heatiness you can get without having the rest of the material that is no use, right? So I think in Richard industry, he should have make use a lot of that.
So there's constant research going on in all of your areas, right? From the sounds of it.
Yes.
So there's a question that's popped up, and I was going to come to that as well. I mean, there's some heritage brands like the recent closure of Robinsons and Toys R Us. Do you feel that some of the brands that we've generated out of Singapore should be protected a bit more, should be given a bit more support in terms of ensuring continuity? I see Edy shaking his head.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think I think it's not the brand, but maybe the business model. If people don't want to walk into department stores anymore, no matter how beautiful a department store you have, you're not going to have the business. Could Robinsons converted into a e-commerce, online business? We still have. I think I think with old brands like that, maybe they could have done a hybrid, of having a shop, a store, where it's more like a showroom, but generate the business online. But I think nowadays you see a lot of because of what's happened in the last few months, especially the food business, the restaurants have been able to survive because they can deliver food. Some restaurants have failed because I don't think they've been able to execute as well. But others have thrived. I mean, I've heard of restaurants where the business is actually better now than it was before the circuit breaker. So if you're able to adapt, people still know your brand, but how can you make them, taste or experience your brand, using different ways, of delivering it.
Do you think the era of the department store is over?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
In the current form, yeah.
I wouldn't say it will be over. I think it will be there. Probably the traffic flow will be less. The question by Muhammad is, they say that what we learned from this Robinson and Toy R Us by closing down. Again, I think is a behavior. So the consumer behavior, the demand, we just have to adopt. Shop will still open, department store will still be there, but probably you have to change it. I mean, people in the retail industry would see how they would make the changes so that it's still appealing and still coming, right? I mean, if we do not want to make changes, we see during this era, during this in the 70s until now, I think we passed through something that never happened before in the last even 1,000 years, right? We passed the era from telex machine, then go to facsimile, then now from there onward is never turn back. So the facsimile is gone. If you use facsimile, it's funny, I mean the film to digital, analog to digital. So if we do not want to change, because Kodak is one good example, right? Kodak just refused to change. They say film will always be there.
And they invented the digital camera. Kodak invented the digital camera.
They kind of shot themselves.
They say we're not going to sell it because it's going to disrupt our film business.
Yeah, because they refuse.
Yeah, if you're scared of disruption, you will get disrupted. So I think you have to lead and be the disruptor in a way,
Accept it and think how to participate in the game or how to do better than them.
Yeah.
But for shirt, it's always the shirt. Loo Fern?
No, but the shirt got technology,
The breathable materials.
The materials are all different.
Material. I think it's color, right? Loo Fern, the color in the past, people just simple color, pastel color. Now people make very colorful, very brief color. You know?
No, actually, there's a lot of change even where clothes are concerned, because like Richard said, materials, what kind of functional materials or sustainable fabrics. We're looking at all that. And people, it's more like what people care about now, and I believe that a lot of young people, I'm very thankful that young people they care a lot about sustainability. They care a lot about the environment, and that's where we have to go towards as well, not overconsumption,
What's your profile like in terms of your customer? What sort of age groups are they in? And have you seen a shift take place, Loo Fern, with your products?
Actually, our customer base is a very wide age range. We have customers from 20-something to 60-something, or
Okay.
And we have been.
As long as you need to wear a shirt.
Sorry.
As long as you need to wear a shirt, you're a customer.
Yeah, not just shirt. You need to wear pants. You need to wear suit. When you get married, you need to get a proper suit and all that. And we are also doing things like T-shirts and other items as well. So it's not just shirts now.
I think in the Zoom era, you probably need more shirts and pants. Pants not in the picture, right?
Oh yeah, you don't have to see the bottom.
I'm not going to show you what I'm wearing underneath.
I don't think we all want to show each other.
And I think the other problem is shoes are also really difficult to sell, because you don't need to show off your shoes. Right?
So people are wearing sneakers much more than the leather shoes now.
Yeah.
If you look at the
there's a bigger push towards comfort more than fashion as such, right?
Yes.
Because people are getting casual, right? I mean, you go office wearing sneakers, as long as not those funny colors,
even that, even funny
and
colors.
especially with this tech look, all this, everybody wants to look techy. They wear the round neck black T-shirt, like that's the uniform for techy look,
Yeah, the Zuckerberg uniform.
That's the uniform.
Edy, how about your group, your customer base? Do you see a lot of younger people coming into your customer base?
Yes. I mean, we have products for the young. For the old, which is traditional, and we also develop products for the young. We have like roll-on. Actually, you have the roll-on that is very appealing to the young people. You see, and we put the ingredient that is on. The aromatherapy, the lavenders, and all this. You see. And during this, I just sharing, we produced this eucalyptus spray. We produced during the SARS. So during the SARS, we produced this.
What does it do?
Things are going well. Then during this COVID pandemic, we expand the product by using a latest material. So this is one example. This was eucalyptus. Eucalyptus oil is known for the antibacterial, but the young people now, they like the tea tree oil. The Australian promote the tea tree oil, and we see this as an opportunity. So we produce something like this. This is under the tea tree oil, you see.
Okay.
Then we expand it the range into something like hand wash, the tea tree hand wash. This is really something, because it contains some natural essential oil. After you wash it, you get that, not the fragrance, but the feeling, the real feeling of the essential oil. Yeah, I was talking to you about this is the roll-on. We have the essential oil in it. We have the lavender, we have the barley mint, and the citrus mint. So this is the three fragrances that we have. We are using. We pack it nicely. We don't label it. We use this printing in the bottle itself. We frosted it so it have the you see the feeling of luxury, expensive, very comfortable.
So does the younger audience want all this fancy stuff, or do they just want the product? Because if they're going down the sustainable
buying
route,
power is different, right? Nowadays, the young people, we always price ourselves as an affordable product. We may not be the cheapest, but we find the sweet spot. Where is the affordability? And today, young people sometimes because they grow up in a different era, right? They don't they don't go through the difficult era. For them, it's money. If they earn today, they spend it. So as long as it is within the affordable range, they will buy.
Okay.
You know,
Cool.
otherwise those high class kopitiam will not. You see, they sometimes we belong to the old generation. We always go to kopitiam, $1.20. You get a coffee, but they all go to Starbucks and all this, and they don't mind.
Yeah. There's a question here about education and how it's pushing us to be employees in the past, and whether we should have more entrepreneurs like yourselves develop. What do you think is the formula as we push ahead past COVID and everything else? Should we have more entrepreneurs, or should we still have that employee mindset in play? Richard?
I don't think there's one size fits all answer here, because everyone's different. So you need all kinds of people. You need people who can be entrepreneurs. You also need people who are willing to be an employee, to work at a company, and they don't want to be entrepreneurs. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other. I think you do what suits your own abilities and interests. So I would, I think that the role of education is not to try and force people into becoming a specific kind of profession or whatever it is. And nowadays you see that what's happened is that professions that were around before are no longer in existence. So how do you cope with that? Even if you want to be just an employee, but what is your job going to be? It's no longer being on the factory line and turning the screws. That doesn't exist anymore, right? Even in office, a lot of the sort of the administrative work and all that, it's all being disrupted. So the role of education has to go beyond that. We've gone beyond the old style of educating, and we have to find a way in which we can create the new our youth, the students that come out of the education system, to be very adaptable and to be able to move in different situations. So it's not necessarily being entrepreneurial, but it has to be this flexibility. We talk about a gig economy, right? And now it's actually it's a realistic situation. The gig economy is not necessarily just someone who is self-employed. Like, for example, you can say insurance agent is a self-employed, right? But now you have other professions. Could be, you can be in marketing, you can be in design, you can be a writer, you can be an accountant, you can be anything and still work on a gig economy basis, right? So the way in which we train students and has to change. Sorry, it's a long answer, but I'm quite passionate about this one, because I think education is the bedrock, right? We need to have good product. At the end of the day, we need to have a very good foundation.
Do you think there's just too much interference as well from the regulators, because they see, oh, this could just go out of hand, right? So let's rein everybody in a bit. Is that too much of that taking place, and is that sort of suppressing creativity and the ability to take Singapore maybe a lot further than where it has progressed thus far?
Yeah.
I think in the past, our Ministry of Education used to engineer how many people go into accounts, how many people go into what and all that, right?
Yeah.
I guess maybe the government always need to do something like this. But on the other hand, I think for the general population, I think the most important thing is to understand yourself, your own interests, your own personality, your own capability, and then to find your way as to, should I go into the arts? Should I go into business? Should I go into computer science? Right?
Maybe all of the above. That's what I mean. Who knows, right?
Do you, I'm just asking each of you now, who are your role models as brands or businesses? Who do you view as your role models today? Edy?
Except you. And Loo Fern.
Okay, let's say
well, I think it's a difficult answer. I never thought of it, to be honest. It's an unexpected shooting to the foot question. So I just answer to the panelists in front of me, the two panelists. Yeah,
I would say not role model, but certain inspirations.
Yes.
I would say that for the way I developed the Yuan Sang business, at that point in time when I started working there, my role model, my inspiration was actually Anita Roddick of The Body Shop. Okay, because I thought that was a great way to build a brand. And I think in terms of being very innovative and creative, Steve Jobs. Look, I mean, everyone's got flaws. I don't think there is a perfect person, a human being, but you look at different aspects of that person and what you could learn from them. And so I think Steve Jobs did he changed a lot of things. So you're looking for people who are able to change.
Any living role models? Any living role models?
Dyson.
Okay. Why?
I'm trying very hard to think of local role models. I mean I think on the creative side, we probably have good role models, and I think that a lot of young entrepreneurs that have come up. I mean, recently, yesterday was it? The Entrepreneur of the Year is the young man who the two of them actually created a chair called Secret Lab, right? Used by gamers, and that's become a multi-million-dollar business in a very short time. And this opportunity would not have existed 10, 20 years ago. The idea of just making a chair for people to play computer games. Think about how niche that sounds like, yeah. But they've sold about 1 million chairs already since they started. And
this is a
homegrown Singapore company with two 30-something-year-olds. One of them was like my son's classmate.
No, but don't you think it's also about timing? Because the chair now is not just for gamers. Even so many people are working at home and they all need to sit on comfortable chairs. So
correct.
They market it for that sector as well.
Yeah. I'm sitting on one actually. I'm trying to show it. That's it.
Oh yeah, okay. I see.
Yeah, I can see it. Anyway, so
you're a big time gamer, right, Richard?
No, I'm not. But it's a very comfortable chair. As different said, you're staying here all day, right? I want a chair that I can sit in all day. And to think that two young men from Singapore created a world-beating product, I think that's great.
That's good. It's about time you had some,
That means anyone can do it. Anyone can do that kind of thing if you set your mind to it.
Okay, it's also looking at the niche that you are in, and then from there extend it. Right?
It's just, and I think that's where Steve Jobs was clever, because he could flip the thinking. He flipped the thinking. So why did Steve Jobs? He never graduated, right? But what class did he attend even after he dropped out of school? It was calligraphy.
That's right.
It changed the ability for computers to have different fonts. It was so simple. Now looking back, it's very simple. But then it was like, oh, that's revolutionary. In those days, you have no choice. It was like Henry Ford and his Model T. You can have any color of car as long as it's black. Right? I mean, it's so the innovators are ones that flip. They don't necessarily invent a new thing, or but they are able to change something which is almost very common.
It's an application of an
Yes,
existing
and then make
product,
it very
right? It's
innovative in
thinking
another
beyond
way.
its defined purpose.
So
Okay,
that flexibility of thinking is this important thing.
True. Okay, so we're out of time at the moment. So I just want to get a parting shot from each of you. What do you think is the biggest challenge in the coming decade for your business? Let's start with Edy.
Okay, what is the challenge?
The biggest challenge for you in the coming decade?
I think, I'm a believer of continuous improvement. I'm a believer of going with the tide, So I think the challenge will come, the disruption will come, but as long as we actively participate in it and getting all ready for it, I think all challenges we manage it. I not say that I can 100% overcome it, but we have to face it. It's like growing old. This is something that you cannot fight, right? So you know that you're going old, you know that you're going to be there one day. So how do you manage it? How do you make use of your time? How do you get the most out of it? Right? So, well,
Okay.
nothing. Just get a good solid team, work in your company. You were asking me about who would be my something that
Role model, yeah.
Role model. I think of it, from the business world, I can't think of any. There are many very successful businessmen. They are very successful in terms of their right, but I do not know how do you measure their success. Is it by how big the company or how that thing? But if I talk about the process, the thinking process, I would say that our first PM Lee Kuan Yew has the best thought process. You see, I always say that I always admire him because he stepped down during the peak of his time. How many? If you look at the world, how many world leaders, how many country leaders that stepped down at the peak of his time? And
some people cannot even step down when it's past their peak.
Yeah.
You have to pull him down.
For purposes of time, can we just
sorry.
Loo Fern, what is your biggest challenge for the coming decade?
Actually, there will always be challenges, but I think the biggest challenge is the excitement of the changes that is always occurring. So it's really keeping up with all the changes, with all the technology changes, with all the new tools that come out, with all the new marketing ideas. That is a challenge, but it's also
flow, right? It's also
very exciting. Yeah, I think
I would echo that actually. I was going to say that basically you have to be careful of disruption, and it's going to come from an application of technology rather than just a traditional competitor. It could come from somewhere totally different that you're not aware of, and that's because of technology. I would go along with that.
Okay, Edy, Loo Fern, Richard, thank you so much for your time and sharing all your experiences and knowledge, and for the banter amongst each other, and Richard for finding two living examples to refer to as role models. I think it's very useful and very helpful to understand how you've navigated the times and brought your brands into the present day, and I wish you all the best in the journey forward and bringing your brands into the future.